Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 229, season 10. Today's date is June 17th, 2023, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I will talk about my memories of that radio station, WFYR 103.5 FM. And that was in Chicago, and also the Helene Curtis Company. They had which their headquarters were here, also in Chicago. So this would be an interesting show. Sorry about that. Okay, so I will get started, but before I do, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Swift Brown and Serve Sausages. I missed that. And here's a commercial from 1976. So sit back and relax, and I'll be right back with the show. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm Brownie, the Swift Premium Brown and Serve Sausage. I give you more meat to eat.
Yeah, prove it.
Okay, a pound of you and a pound of us, all cooked, and now, wow, you guys got all that grease.
Don't get personal.
Okay, let's get on the scale. See, Brown and Serve gives you over 35% more meat to eat.
And a great taste, Brownie.
Swift Premium Brown and Serve Sausage, more meat to eat.
And less grease, darn it.
This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Brown and Serve sausages from Swift. I'm trying to remember if I ever had this product. I don't know. I don't remember. They're still around, but Swift does not make them. It's Banquet. Remember, famous for their fried chicken. Remember that in the 70s and 80s? I'm sure they still make that. As for Swift, the Swift company, the Swift Premium company, that is. I don't know. They had headquarters here in Chicago, but they've been bought out by many companies, and it's very confusing. It's kind of sketchy. So they sort of still around. Yes, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a podcast episode about them. I got to read the history of that and break it down because it's confusing. So we'll see. I'll do my best. We'll see about that. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I will discuss my memories of the radio station WFYR 103.5 FM in Chicago, and also the Helene Curtis Company. They also had their headquarters here. Before I get started, I want to mention something. I've gotten a lot of comments from people from Vanished Chicagoland on Facebook and Twitter, and they send me suggestions on what subjects I like that I should talk about, and there are a few that I have talked about before, but I will talk about them again down the road, and also there are subjects that I have never touched, also subjects that are too controversial when it comes to Chicago history, like politics or tragedies like that. I don't know. I'm a little, how should I say that? A little reluctant to do that because sometimes it's a little depressing, but it is history. I understand that. That comes with politics. I will not discuss politics here. This is not a political podcast. This is for other podcasts. I'm sure there are others that talk about that. It's very rich. It's very interesting, but it's not for here. I will mention it from time to time about mayors and governors and well, that's Illinois, but no, no, I will not do that. So this podcast is for it's historical, but it's also for fun subjects and memories from me. What I remember growing up as a child. Seeing signs, products, like that. So that's I should stick to that. I apologize. Okay. All right, let's get started. I'm going to talk about the radio station WFYR 103.5 FM. This is one of my favorite radio stations in the past. There were others, of course. There was WLS, AM, FM. I talked about that WLS AM, I think about a year or two ago. Went into detail about that because I listened to that. Also, The Loop. That was during when I was a teenager at Bogan High School. And what other radio station I listened to? WMET. I have not discussed WMET. WMET. I can't even say blah, blah. I can't talk about that. Maybe next time I will. But I did discuss WDAI, which was at WLS FM, and they changed it to the disco. It was rock, and then there was disco. So I talked about that in a previous podcast episode. You could find it. You could search it if you like to. It's on It's on my YouTube channel or on my apps or any apps you could find or social media accounts. If you'd like to re-listen it, or if it's the first time you've heard about this, you can. Like I said before, listen to on my YouTube channel, Van Chicagoland Stories, and you could do a search. So they had an interesting history. Anyway, for WFYR, I'm going to give you a brief history of that and my memories of listening to that radio station during the 70s and the 80s, like that. So here we go. Alrighty, let's see. So the first air date was about November 1957. It wasn't WFYR. It was called WKFM, and that radio station was, excuse me, that was owned by a man named Frank Covis Jr. And that aired like beautiful music, classical music, just like WLIK 94 FM. Do you remember that? Or FM 100? And they had one of the shows they have, for example, they had Morning Serenade, Musical Bonbons, Pleasant Listening, Rendezvous with Rhythm, Dinner Musicale, and Stereo Showcase. And they had newscasts in the top of each hour, just like WBBM, at the top of the news hour, like that. And let's see what's else. And WKFM was the first radio station broadcast in stereo, and it aired like 24 hours a day. So that's an interesting footnote. That's cool. I didn't know that. And that stopped airing around 1973, and the station was sold, and the new owner changed it to WFYR around March of that year. And the letters for WFYR stood for the infamous Great Chicago Fire. You get that? So that's how they got the call letters for that. And they changed it from the classical format to oldies format. They did that. And So, and then I don't know who the first disc jockey was. I'm not sure, but they care. And then they moved. This was broadcasted at Randolph Tower at 188 West Randolph. And then the interesting thing in 1970 in February, the antenna fell down because it was too windy. Of course, we're in a windy city. And then they moved the tower to the Sears Tower, which is the Willis Tower, of course. And then they start playing uh, oldies music. Most of it was automated. Just sounds like Chat GPT. It sounds scary. Artificial intelligence during that time. Oof. And then they had a dance club called the FYR station, and that was located at the McCormick Inn. And that was at McCormick Place. It was a hotel, and they had live broadcasts on the weekends, Friday and Saturday evenings. And in 1976, they began to carry Dick Biondi's syndicated program, Super Gold Rock and Roll. Oh, Dick Biondi, what a wonderful man! And then later on, a year later, 1977, they added disc jockeys. They did that at first. And one of the most well-known disc jockeys at the time was Fred Winston. Oh, he's a nice man. He follows me on Twitter and Instagram, which is nice. And also Dick Bartley, you may hear his name. Stu Collins, Dean Richards from WGN. He was a DJ. And then in the 80s, they carried Dick Bartley's oldies program, Solid Gold Saturday Night. And on Sunday nights, he had another oldie show called Solid Gold Scrapbook. I remember this. I listened to this in the 80s all the time because I love the oldies, from the 50s and the 60s. 70s, yeah. But that was perfect on the weekend when I went out and I turned on the car radio and I always put that, and they play all these wonderful oldie songs. Sometimes songs from that era that they're rarely played, and it was kind of cool to listen to all that. Okay, so let's see. Then I have a list of disc jockeys or people that worked there, so I'll give you a rundown of who was there. So here we go. Okay. So there was a Stan Adams, Paul Christensen, I mentioned Dick Bartley, Casey Cooper, Joe Dawson, Lyle Dean, Corey Dietz, Jeff Elliott. I think you remember there was a duo. I can't think of the top of my head. Jeff, or it's some other Jeff. Jeff Elliott, Stu Evans, Gary Hamilton, Lee Harris, Kurt Johnson, Larry Langford, David LaPrade, Dave Martin, Glenn Martin, Jack Miller, Tony Ruggiero, John Thomas, and Fred Winston. I think I'm missing a few. Yeah, there might be a few. Bob Motley, I think. Oh, I can't think of his name. His name is Bob, like that. And if you can think of other disc jockeys during that time, please comment on social media or send me an email, and so I would know in the future, so you could share it with me. So that's pretty good. There were a lot of them. There really were, and they did that. And then in 1989, they went back to an oldies format, and the slogans was Chicago's hottest oldies. Okay. They did that. And then there was some issue, I don't know, behind the scenes, and then they dropped the oldies format was dropped, and then they replaced it with an adult contemporary format. Okay, the oldies were gone. They still had, what's it called? Magic 104. They had WJMK at the time in the 80s. So I guess they were, in competition, neck and neck. Also in 1991, it was sold again, and then they return, and then it was changed to the Blaze. You remember that? WWBZ. Oh, they had like hard rock stations. People miss that station so much. Maybe someday I'll talk about that because I listen to it too. I like hard rock music, and they got rid of everybody, and then they brought in a lot of other uh, disc jockeys like that. And of course, the Blaze didn't last long, and then it was sold in 1993. Then it became Rock 103.5. This is in the 90s, like in 1994, and brought in more DJs. Oh, you get the picture. And like that. And the Mancow started was added in the mornings, and he started talking. Okay, like that. And there were others like that. It's so convoluted. Like, so, and they went to a couple more formats, and then like for example, it changed into the beat. It changed to WUBT, and then I don't know. And then it became Kiss FM, and it's still there. Yeah, it's still there. So that's good. So that is so. But the favorite part of mine for 103.5 WFYR was at that era in the 70s and the 80s when I was a young boy and a teenager. Listened to that, and I listened to oldies. A lot of kids at my age at the time did not. They listened to The Loop or WXRT, WMET, or WCKG, during the 70s and 80s. Oh boy, it's mind-boggling. Okay, right now I'm going to play a commercial from 1983. It is from WFYR FM, and it's I found this on YouTube. I played this commercial before on a previous podcast episode. It's a janitor. He's lip syncing to all the songs. They did a lot of commercials like that during the 80s where they just pick people out of random, for commercials, and they start lip singing. They start singing. It's either oldies or at the time the current hits. Okay, so sit back and enjoy, and I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
The night janitor at WFYR eyes the microphone. A fantasy forms.
Live from Chicago.
It's Stu Collins and the morning team on fire.
WFYR.
One great song after another.
WFYR plays more of the best music.
WFYR.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for WFYR FM from 1983. One more thing I want to mention about the radio station. They sell a lot of memorabilia. I've noticed that on eBay. For example, T-shirts, record surveys, buttons, like the top. There was one with the top 500 songs. I got a picture of that, but the printing's so small you can't see that. And a lot of photos from disc jockeys, and it's kind of cool. So you know that. And once this podcast is published, I'm sure people will comment on their memories of listening to the radio station. They already have about a couple days ago, because I posted a bumper sticker on the radio station. So that's it's kind of nice. I still miss it. I still listen to radio. I listen to Me FM. It's somewhat like that. Okay. Right now, I'm going to talk about Helene Curtis. I just thought of talking about this because this company has been around for a long time. It's not in business anymore, uh, but there one product is still around. I believe is Suave shampoo, and I'll get to that in a moment. So I'll start in the. So I'm going to talk. I'm sorry. So I'll talk about the history of that and where it led to being sold. Okay. So here we go. So it was called the Helene Curtis Industries, and it sold cosmetics, beauty parlor products, and it was based in Chicago. And let's see. So it was started in 1927, and it was formed by two men. First man was named Gerald Gitzwitz and Louis Stein, and they formed the National Mineral Company. And they made the peach bloom facial mask. So you put a facial mask and, it makes you wrinkle free or something like that. Aha, what I know. And then they began selling shampoos in the 1930s. And one was called Lanolin Cream and Suave. That was that one's well known to this day. And after World War II, the company changed its name to Helene Curtis, which is a combination of Louis Stein's wife and son. So I think it's Helene was his wife, Curtis was his son. Okay. So it was Helene. So the real names was Helene Stein and Curtis Stein. Okay. And then, by then it employed like 1,000 people. It was during the 60s, and it was phenomenal. It was a very popular. They sold very popular brands. They sold shampoos, hairspray, deodorants, like that. And let's see what else. I think they started. I think they were the first to invent the hairspray. I'm not sure it's them. And their product was called SprayNet, and that came about in 1949, 1950. And there was also they invented a deodorant called Stopette, and that was an inventor. His name was Jules Martiniere. He was an inventor and chemist. And what's famous about this, I don't know, this is for people who are older than me, or if you watch reruns of the TV game show, What's My Line? And that was their sponsor. And when I started watching this on the Game Show Network, I don't know, a long time ago, because I'm a big fan of old game shows, I started watching What's My Line, and that was their earliest sponsor, and that was Stopette. And they mentioned this man's name like that. And they had a dandruff shampoo called Endon. It was non-prescription at the time. So I think before that, if you had dandruff, you would go see your doctor. He would write a prescription. You go to the drugstore and you give it to him, and he would hand it to you. But this is the first time that it was like over the counter. And they advertised this on TV. So, and Stop It was at the time very popular. It was during the 1950s. Oh, you like that, And there were other products like that, and like for example, like other shampoos, that were Suave. That's why I posted the photo of. I posted this yesterday. It was a bottle of Suave strawberry, scented shampoo. I think I remember this is from the 80s, I believe. My brother bought this. He liked the smell of it. I don't know why. I tried it a couple of times. It was not very good. They came in other scents. Like there was one green apple. I don't know what else. They had baby shampoos at the time, like that. And let's see. Also, there was one thing I just noticed today. Someone on Twitter tweeted that at the factory in Chicago there was an explosion, and it was on North Avenue. It was about near North Avenue and Costner, right at on the west side of Chicago, and there was an explosion, and that happened on October 18th, 1961. And the plant was damaged, and nearby was the Zenith. I think it was a factory. Yeah, I believe so. At the time, it was like that, and yeah, it was a plant, and you could have heard the explosion all the way through downtown. It was like it was horrendous, like that, and the Zenith plant, that was mostly they built radios at the time, like that, and there were about over 200 people injured. Nobody got killed, thank God. But that was a big story back then. I didn't ask my mother about it because she was not here. She was in Greece. She wasn't married yet, and she's not home right now. But when I asked her, maybe some other people remembered it. But that was a big story at the time. And someone mentioned on Twitter, somebody mentioned on Twitter, are you going to talk about the explosion of Helene Curtis? Because on the floor, it was like really shiny because due to the pipes that exploded. And it just made the whole floor smooth, like you would like rollers, like an ice skating rink, like that, which I never knew about this. This is something new to me. How about that? I'm glad I didn't answer his tweet. I will later on, and I'll tell him, yeah, I spoke about this. This is fascinating. So I read the article about it, and wow, that was something. It really was. Okay. So right now, I'm going to play a commercial for Suave shampoo. This is from 1981. The woman that's speaking in the program, you could try to recognize her voice. If not, I will reveal it after the commercial is played. Just have a little fun. And then I will continue with the program and talk about Helene Curtis. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
When I started working, Suave was the only shampoo I could afford. I kept thinking, someday I'll be successful and I'll try some of those expensive shampoos. But they weren't better than Suave, just more expensive. In fact, one of the best ways I've found to protect against blow drying is Suave's new moisturizing shampoo and conditioner. Today, I could spend a fortune on my hair. I don't. Suave just makes me look as if I do.
Suave makes you look as if you spent a fortune on your hair.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Suave shampoo. That actress that was in the commercial, that's none other than actress Cynthia Sykes. She's best well known in the TV show Saint Elsewhere. And she played her character's name was Annie Cavanero, and it was during the time when Denzel Washington was in the show. A lot of people have forgotten that he was in that TV show, not the famous movie actor, which he is now. So, and anyway, for Cynthia Sykes, she's still acting to this day, and very pretty lady, Very pretty. Okay. All right. And as for the company for Helene Curtis, it went on for many years, and Schwab was their um, biggest money-making product. Also, there was an antiperspirant called Degree. Do you remember that? It came out in 1990. So, that took off like that. Also, there was, let's see, for Salon Selectives and Thermosilk, not Skill. Sorry. And those were huge like that. Now, the company was sold, and they closed the plant, and they sold it to Unilever. They also, the last time they closed the plant on the west side, and then they had one in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, around in the late 90s. And then once it was acquired by Unilever, the name disappeared. So you don't see Helene Curtis anymore. Oh, they also had another brand called Finesse. They had another shampoo, which was pretty good. I used that one time when I was at a hotel. I think I stayed over at a hotel. I forgot where, but I didn't have any shampoo, but the hotel provided it, and I used that for the first time. That's pretty good shampoo. Okay, so Helene Curtis is no longer around, but a couple of their products are still on the market. You can still find them everywhere. Walgreens, Costco, Walmart, Target. They're there. The Suave. I don't use Suave. Sometimes I use another shampoo brand, but if that one's not available, then I use Suave. And I used it after many, many years, and still good. It really is. I'm glad. It turned out a good product. Okay. All right, so that's it for this program. Do a quick recap of what I talked about. I talked about my memories of WFYR 103.5 FM. It's a radio station in Chicago. Also, the Helene Curtis Corporation, also in Chicago. This podcast will be published later, wherever apps are available: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Also, I'll be on my YouTube channel, Vanishing Chicagoland Stories. Also, I'll be on my social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter, and also on my blog, vanishingchicagoland.blog. Please subscribe. Please follow. You probably get a notification of when the episode is ready. That happens to me too. So I get a notification on my phone. And if you subscribe, like I said, the new episode is ready to listen to. Okay. That's fun. I don't know when I'll do another podcast. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. As for Tuesday, I don't think so. Because I have some errands to do. So it'll probably be next weekend. I will do another one. Okay. So this is Pete Costanos, your host for Vanishing Chicagoland Stories. Thank you for joining me. Everyone have a wonderful day and the rest of your weekend. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. And here's bye-bye for me. Take care, everyone. So long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.